master your marketing. I am so stoked to have you here today because so many of you have come to me and said, well, how in the world do I find my real clients? How in the world do I attract my real clients? And I think it is extremely important to use the information that is provided to us so we are not trying to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. And that's exactly what this 2-day challenge is all about. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Marissa Stone. I own and operate the Systems Lounge. I am the Systems Queen and your biz growth strategist. I host both the annual Premier International Women's Business Systems Virtual Summit and the Women's Biz Systems podcast because my ultimate goal is to empower female entrepreneurs across the globe with the systems that they need in order to run their businesses so that they can do all the amazing things that they set out to do when they want to change the lives or transform the lives of their audience. And so today we are going to be talking about how to find and attract your real clients. Now, let's go over a couple of housekeeping tips. The first one is, before you begin, if you have not already done so, I want you to go to the units section and I want you to download the booklet that's inside the units section that we will be working from. That is your homework guide as you go through this process. For those of you that may also want the templates that I designed for my clients, here's the link for you to go and grab those. The templates were designed in such a way that not only are they set up inside Asana so you can snag those if you're an Asana girl like me, but they also make it easier for you to run through the prompts that I am teaching you to do inside this challenge. So I want to be cognizant of your time, so let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to ask any questions as we go through the process, and I will make sure that I go back through and answer each and every one of those. If not on the live, I will answer them after. You guys have me pretty much uninterrupted for the next 2 days. So take advantage of what I'm teaching you. Take advantage of the opportunity to ask me a bazillion questions. I have worked with hundreds of women and helped them to set up this exact process. And it works every single time, which is why I turned it into a system. So for those of you that have already downloaded your document, the very first thing you are going to do is you're going to kind of fill out the information at the top, your name, your company name, your URL, the products or services that you sell, and who your ideal client is. And the reason that I'm asking you to begin there is because for a lot of the women that I work with, they start out feeling like their ideal client is one person, and then they get into the market research that I'm getting ready to show you how to do, and they narrow that down, and oftentimes that person will change a bit. And it is extremely important that we know exactly who our ideal client is in order for us to be able to deliver whatever the products and services are that that client is looking for, right? So begin with just filling out that section across the top of your homework document. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to identify 3 brands that your ideal client follows in the online space. Now, if you are pressed for time, begin with just one brand that your ideal clients follow that you would think to yourself, oh my gosh, if I had that audience, I'd be so happy, right? Because that's where you want to begin searching for those additional prospects. And for those of you that already have an email list, already have a group, already have a large following, this is an opportunity for you to dive even deeper into what your own clients are looking for and also reach out and pull in even more prospects and leads. So begin by identifying those top 3 brands. I want you to list who those top 3 brands are in the first section of your homework here. And then I want you to go and find the URLs for those top 3 brands, whatever their sales page is, right? Because what you're really wanting to identify here is what products and services they're selling and how they speak to their target market, right? So the next thing on the agenda is to actually list the products and services that they offer. Do they offer coaching packages? Do they offer done for you services? Do they offer VIP days? Do they offer a particular product like a planner or a business guide or whatever, right? What is it that they offer? And try to think through to your, to what they offer and how it aligns also with something that you might offer, right? Because our goal here is to compare and contrast so that we can determine whether or not those truly are our ideal clients and whether or not we can solve their problems, right? So the next thing that I have on the list for you to do is to actually rate brands 1, 2, and 3. Now, Marissa, why do you want me to rate them? Well, it's important to rate them because it gives you that opportunity to think to yourself, how am I receiving this brand? How am I receiving the content? How am I receiving what they're talking about, right? And because you're rating that ahead of time, what you may find is that that rating may change over time. And I want you to think about that process. Put yourself in the shoes of your ideal client as you're going through doing the market research about this other brand, so that you can then think through what your clients might be experiencing when they're going through your customer journey. Does that make sense? And then I want you to give me an explanation for the ratings. Why did you rate them the way that you did? What was the reason that you rated them like that, right? And I think that's important because, again, thinking through how you want to reach out to your own ideal clients, this is giving you a snapshot of how someone else is doing it, and it gives you that opportunity to take that outside view of how your clients are experiencing whatever it is you're sharing in the online space, right? So the next thing I want you to do is look at the Facebook groups for those top 3 brands. List those URLs here inside your document. If you have not already done so, and you want to make sure that these are relatively large Facebook groups, because obviously the more people you have, the better you can really dive in and do the market research. So I want you to list those Facebook group URLs and the number of members that they have inside each of those groups. And if you're not already a member, go ahead right here and request a membership into that group. Being a member inside the group is going to allow you to do some of the components later on in this challenge that we're going to be doing. After you look over their Facebook group and the content that is being shared and the way that people are receiving that content and some of the conversations happening inside that group, I want you to then rate those 3 brands again. Has your rating changed? What are your thoughts? Then I want you to explain that rating. Talk to me about what that was like, right? Or really, in this case, talk to yourself about what that was like, because I'm not looking at your document, only you are. Okay, so now I want you to go back to the URL that you saved from their sales page, right? For brand number 1, brand number 2, and brand number 3. And I want you to dive in and take a look at the content or the product or service being shared. What are they sharing? Is it a sales page for a coaching program? Is it a sales page for an online course? Is it a sales page for a product? Is it a sales page for a service? What is it that they're sharing? And then I want you to look at some of the copy that stands out to you, right? Because your ideal client is the you of yesteryear. So the things that are going to stand out to them are also going to stand out to you. If you are aligned with your ideal client, you guys are going to be on the same wavelength with regard to what grabs your attention and pulls you in, right? So I want you to take a look at that content, and anything that stands out to you that really jumps off the page and says, hey, pick me, I want you to make a note of it. I also want you to do this inside their Facebook groups. And the way that I determine what content is the most popular that would be being consumed by a large number of the followers inside the Facebook groups is I simply look at the numbers. What has the most comments? What's being shared? What's being, what content are they tagging their friends in, right? So you want to take a look at those analytics right there on the page, and it doesn't have to get overwhelming or super techy. Just look at the number. What's happening with that content? And then I want you to make a note of the topic of that content, right? Because our goal here is to figure out what is the audience paying attention to and what are they wanting more of, right? Now, after looking over both their website and their group and identifying the copy that is standing out to you, of that copy, what components are also aligning with the messages and the products and services that you're sharing? Where is the overlap, right? Now, why is this important? Because our goal when we're doing all this market research is to identify the gap, right? And later on, I'm going to tell you exactly how to identify the gap so the next product or service or coaching program or whatever you develop, every one of these members of this audience is going to stand up and say, yes, I need that, pick me. But you have to actually identify the gap in order to make that happen, right? So what copy stands out to you with regard to brand 1, 2, and 3 on their website, on their sales page, and in their social media channels? And right now we are beginning session 2 on page 3 of the workbook. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Marissa Stone. I am your systems queen and biz growth strategist. I work with high integrity, 6-figure earners to help them automate some of the processes inside their business, set up those lead generation systems, and serve their clients so that they can push through that next income level and reach that 7-figure mark. Now, one of the things that I offer my clients inside a lot of the programs that I offer them is this opportunity to go through this process and truly identify exactly what their real clients are looking for. Because oftentimes we don't slow down to ask the question, right? And we've seen this over and over and over again in the entrepreneurial space where you spend all your time building out this elaborate online course. You put tons of effort, tons of resources, tons of time and energy into it, only to find that it really was not what your clients wanted or needed. So I want to begin this entire conversation by talking with you about felt needs versus ascribed needs. And the reason that we go through this process and we dive deep into the marketing research is because the market will tell you 100% of the time exactly what they're looking for. And if you're not quite sure if they're looking for a product or service that you are getting ready to bring to the market, it's a good idea before you put all that time and energy and resources into producing this thing that you are getting ready to sell them, that you actually slow down and do some market research. So let's begin by discussing ascribed versus felt needs. Now, ascribed needs are those needs that we put upon others. So you might think to yourself, my client needs this, so I'm going to create a program around it, and then they will show up and buy it, right? That is not always the case. I think there's a saying out there that says, sell your clients what they want and then give them what they need, right? So those ascribed needs represent those needs that you have in your mind that you know they need that thing. So for instance, in the last session, I talked about an example of, and I may not have talked about it in this session, but I talk about this all the time to my clients. I talked about an example of teaching my clients to create an email marketing campaign based on a launch that they are producing, right? Because they want to be able to follow up with those people who are interested in perhaps purchasing the product or service that they are offering and that they are getting ready to launch. Now, I know that in order for my clients to be successful in setting up this email marketing campaign, that they are going to need to design a series of emails, or what's called in my world an indoctrination series, that helps the client or the prospect get to know a little more about them and get to know whether or not this product or service is something that they're going to need. But my clients might be hung up on simply, I don't know how to design a template and I don't know what to say in the email, Marissa. So knowing that about my client, I can then design a program, a product, or a service that offers them that solution because in their mind, this is what they need. And then that ascribed need that I have, that I hold in my mind that says they need to know how to set up a template, I simply give that to them once they've purchased the program, right? So when we're talking about ascribed and felt needs are those needs that I know my client is going to need, but those felt needs are those that we identify as our own. Well, Marissa, I don't know how to set up an automated system for reaching out to those prospects. I need a means of reaching out to those prospects so that I can sell them my product or service, right? So in this situation, the felt need is I need a way to reach out to my clients and I need a template from which to design the emails that I'm going to use to reach out to my clients, right? That's the need that the client has. They may not talk in exactly that language, but that's the need that they think they have. And so what I do is I do the market research, I figure out that that's their need, and then build that need into the email marketing campaign program that I am creating to sell them. Does that make sense? So the first thing we are going to do inside this process is we are going to, we're actually going to dive into that system of identifying exactly what those felt needs are. And in your world, you've heard this said again and again and again, those felt needs are pain points, right? They are represented by something that is keeping your client up, something that is, stopping your client from succeeding, something that is in their way, a barrier to success, if you will, right? So if you have not already downloaded the book, in this session, we are beginning on page 3. So I want you to go over there to page 3 right now. Now, in the last session, we went over a process of identifying 3 brands, right, that stood out to you, that represent that have the audience that you're looking for, right? The ideal clients that you're looking for are a member of their audience. And you identified all those 3 brands. You identified the URLs for those 3 brands. And then I asked you to jump into their Facebook groups, right? And make a note of those Facebook groups. In this session, we are going to begin by taking a deeper dive into that copy. I'm sorry, we are starting on page 4, not page 3. We are going to take a deeper dive into the copy that's on some of their other social media channels, because you took a look already at their sales page, and then you also took a look at their Facebook group. So now where else are they engaging? Are they on YouTube? Are they on Twitter? Are they on Instagram, right? Where else are they hanging out, and what are they sharing in those spaces? And I want you to make a note of not only the URL for those channels, but the content that is performing the best, right? Now, take a closer look at that content. What pain points is being addressed inside that content? Are they talking about, so for instance, if that person teaches systems, right? Are they talking about an email marketing campaign? Are they talking about a productivity tool? Are they talking about an onboarding system? What is it that those audience members are actually looking for? What is it that those audience members are replying to, commenting on, paying attention to, right? Because this is what tells you where your audience is with regard to those felt needs that they have, right? Then once they consume the content that is being offered by your brand 1, 2, or 3, what's left? What questions and comments are still being asked? What conversation pieces, what conversation starters, what phrases, what comments are still being added to that content as they go through the process. Because what you want to look for here is, after somebody has consumed the content, what's left over? For instance, if I provide a video on how to set up a template, let's say in MailChimp, because perhaps you use MailChimp, or maybe you use Infusionsoft, right? If I give you a template, a tutorial, a video tutorial on how to set up that template inside that space, what happens next? Did it answer all your questions? Were you able to set that up? You know, are you seeing that people are saying, wow, this was fabulous, thank you, you know, here's what I was able to do? Or are you seeing that people are saying, okay, I did this, and now what? What do I do next, right? Because what I want you to do, the reason I'm asking you to dive into this content and really take a closer look is because I want you to take that information and I want you to generate 10 to 20 content topic ideas that you are willing to create, and or you already have in your arsenal, that you can use to help solve that client's pain point. So let's go back to my example of the email marketing campaign. I know by listening to my clients that not only do they need a process of following up with prospects to be able to sell them the thing that they're launching, the product or service that they're launching, but I also know that they struggle with not only what to write in the email, but they struggle with developing a template that's going to make it easy for them to plug and play. So what am I going to do? I recognize that they have those two felt needs. So when I build out my course inside this membership site for their email marketing campaign course, I'm going to actually offer 2 modules that answer those pain points, that eliminate them ideally, right? So I want you to brainstorm on your sheet, and we are on page 4. I want you to brainstorm 10 to 20 content ideas that you have or you are willing to produce in your arsenal that's going to answer the questions that are left over. Which one of those pieces of content aligns best with the product or service that you are trying to launch? So for me, if I'm launching an email marketing campaign program, I'm going to teach you how to put together your own email marketing campaign with a nurturing sequence and an indoctrination sequence and the follow-up sequence to a webinar or an event and an accountability sequence that is going to go along with your product or service, right? Those are kind of the 4 big modules inside that email marketing campaign program. Which one of the pieces of content that I've developed, or I'm saying I'm going to develop, align with that product? And obviously the 2 that I mentioned earlier, the template to use inside their email marketing service provider, so MailChimp or ConvertKit or whatever the case may be, and then exactly what to write. So a template exactly laid out based on an indoctrination sequence or a nurturing sequence or an accountability sequence that they can then go in there and tweak and customize because they told me that's what they need. How do I know that's what they need? I did this program and I did my market research. I did this entire system that I'm giving to you. And that's why I'm giving it to you, because it works and I use it over and over and over again, right? Now, of those pieces of content, which one actually solves the problem that the ideal client is saying that they have? Remember that felt need. Which one solves the problem, right? Now, once you have those content topics down, I want you to think to yourself, what opt-in, challenge, freebie, bonus, or whatever the case may be, can I create, or have I already created, around this content, right? So for me, maybe that's a video. Maybe it's an over-the-shoulder view. Maybe it's a PDF document that gives them a checklist. Don't forget this and this and this and this, right? Because it's important in this step that you identify that gap of information that they are still missing. And inside this step, you're going to take what you've already created and you're going to marry it with the felt need that that prospect has. And that way, when it comes time to release and or launch this thing, they stand up and say, oh yes, I need that, pick me. And they ask themselves, how did she get in my head, right? So of that challenge, freebie, offer, lead magnet, what is the main benefit? So in my example of the email marketing campaign, the main benefit is they already have a template from which to work. They can take that template and implement it and go, and there is, it removes the barrier. There's no stopping them now. They go in there and write all the emails they want inside their email marketing campaign. Right? So what is the main benefit that your prospect or client is going to get after consuming your piece of content? So I want you to think through, right? What is the felt need? What topic or content ideas can you offer to this client that will solve the problem of the felt need? Are you going to offer it in a lead magnet, a challenge, a video, an email follow-up process? What is it? How is it that you're going to offer this? And what are the main pain points that this piece of content is going to solve for them? And how does it fill that gap in knowledge or information that they still have, right? What is the main benefit or result that your client or your prospect is going to get once they consume that content? And then I want you to come up with a one-line description of what we are going to call this irresistible offer. This is the thing that is going to make your prospect turn around and say, wait a minute, she's talking to me. I need that, right? Does that make sense? Now, if you have any questions as you go through this process, I want you to reach out to me. And inside the homework thread that is going to pop up in just a few minutes, the action items are this. After consuming your freebie, challenge, or lead magnet, what will your audience need next in order to continue to move forward in, toward their goal, right? What are they going to need next? The thing that they're going to need next is going to become your core offer. Once you guys nail this down, it becomes super simple to go through every single time you are trying to create a new product or service. It makes it super simple to go through the process of doing just that. Now, for those of you that want the templates, I actually have built some templates out that my clients use, and you can snag them from that link. Many of you perhaps already registered for the challenge using that link. But if you go to that link, put in your email, your name and email, and hit submit, it is going to take you to another page where you can snag those templates. The reason that I developed those templates is because a lot of my clients were really struggling with how to get this system working for them. So I created the Google spreadsheets, and I created the entire setup inside Asana, so you can simply go through and check the boxes and knock it out. So the next time you are developing a product or service that you want to sell, you can go through this process of identifying the real client that is looking for that product or service and understand those felt needs and those gaps in knowledge before you develop the product. It really is a game changer. Okay, guys, I will see you in the group, and I am looking forward to seeing your action items. Bye, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.